Well, good day, everyone. Nice to see you. My name is Jason Abig. I'm CEO of the Greater Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the Chamber's 114th Annual General Meeting. The Chamber team and the Board of Directors and many of you are participating today from Treaty 6 territory in the traditional homeland of the Métis people. Recognizing this historical connection to the land now known as Saskatoon is important to our city's future and our efforts as a chamber to promote Indigenous economic inclusion across our community. So from wherever you are joining us today, a warm welcome to you. Today's annual general meeting will be recorded so all members can view later on. The voting procedure today is very straightforward. On key motions, and those are the motions needed to move through the agenda and make key decisions, we'll be using the poll function on this Zoom platform. So when it's time to call the question and a vote, a window will pop up on your screen, you'll be able to vote, and we'll have the results in real time. If there are any other motions proposed today, or if you have any questions, send them to the chair of today's AGM, Carla Brown, through the chat, and she'll take each one of them in turn. So with that, let me hand today's proceedings over to Carla, and outgoing president and chair of the chamber, to chair today's meeting. Carla, over to you.
Thank you, Jason. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. It has been a great pleasure to serve as chair of the Greater Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce this past year, and it is definitely an honor to chair today's meeting. Before we begin today's program, I would like to recognize a few special guests who have joined us this afternoon. First of all, needing no introduction, His Worship Mayor Charlie Clark, who I know is in the room with us today. Welcome, Charlie. And we have one of our past chairs with us, Monica Kruger. If you want to give us a wave, Monica, welcome. I would also like to recognize and thank our 2020 AGM sponsor, SaskTel. SaskTel is a long-standing supporter of the Greater Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce and an important partner to many of our member businesses and organizations across the city. We thank SaskTel for their generous support of today's event. Saskatchewan's minister responsible for SaskTel, the Honourable Don Morgan, accepted our invitation to provide a video message on behalf of SaskTel in the province. Here now are the greetings from Minister Don Morgan.
Thank you, Carla, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to join you all here on behalf of SaskTel and the Government of Saskatchewan. I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate Jason Abig, albeit belatedly, on his appointment as your new CEO. Jason is my neighbor and a great person. Once again, we have the unique experience of gathering virtually for this event, but I think we can all agree that the momentum that drives the Greater Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce to excel remains the same. SaskTel is a proud sponsor of this great chamber and its events that recognize excellence in the Saskatoon area. On their behalf, I'd like to offer congratulations to the business leaders who have guided the chamber through some unprecedented times and acknowledge the strengths that they have demonstrated with resilience. Local organizations continue to collaborate and work towards the goal of ensuring that our economy in the province continues to thrive. There have been challenges along the way, but I think the necessary goals are being achieved. Despite us not being able to gather physically, this event continues to give way to a fantastic opportunity to network and to continue building relationships to keep Saskatoon so vibrant and flourishing with growth. I want to express my gratitude to those who have contributed their time and energy, especially during this past year, and who will continue to do so in the year ahead. Each and every one of you plays such a significant role in supporting the local economy. The great accomplishments of this city could not be obtained without you, and for that I say thank you. I hand the reins back to Carla to continue with the proceedings of the AGM. I hope you enjoy the Honourable Perrin Beatty's comments coming up next. Thank you very much. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you, Minister Morgan and SaskTel, for your support of the Chamber and our business community. Over the course of the last year, our Chamber has worked in lockstep with chambers across Canada to help governments address the challenges of COVID in the right way and invest in measures to keep businesses and our economy going. The Chamber network flexed its muscles like never before, ensuring that priorities at the local, provincial, and national level were heard and acted upon. Together, Chambers kept the needs of business owners and working professionals front and center, and will continue to do so as we enter this next phase of economic recovery. To say more about the work that we've done together and the work ahead, we're delighted to share these remarks from the Honourable Perrin Beatty, President and CEO of the Canadian Chamber.
Let me say how much I appreciate the invitation to be with you today. I'm extremely proud of the role that Chambers of Commerce are playing in their communities across Canada. The pandemic has played out differently in every community, but together we're making a difference. I want to recognize the work that Jason and the team at the Chamber have been doing throughout this crisis. It sure couldn't have been easy assuming the CEO role in the midst of a pandemic. Now, in addition, I'd like to salute Carla Brown for her leadership of the board over the course of the past year. And of course, thank you to the entire board for the hours that you've all committed to the Chamber and the larger business community over the course of this period. Now, across the network, I've seen how our members have been struggling to remain open amid this global pandemic. I know that each of you is acutely aware of the impact of the cascading stresses upon entrepreneurs within Saskatoon during this last year. Each of you will know an entrepreneur who struggled to keep their head above water during the last 14 months. Now, I wish that I could say that the hard part is over. Midway into the second quarter of 2021, Canada still faces powerful headwinds. The third wave is upon us, and we continue to face great economic uncertainty. We are all so ready for this pandemic to end, to see people again, other than over a computer screen, to travel, to get back to business. Businesses are increasingly desperate. Many small businesses in particular have exhausted their cash reserves, and they've reached their debt limits. Moreover, governments at all levels are struggling to balance economic and healthcare concerns with inconsistent results. I believe, like you do, that the business community has a key role to play. We have a strong stake in protecting the health of our employees and customers, and in speeding the move away from lockdowns and subsidies to where both families and businesses become self-sufficient again. Now, last April, we put in place the Canadian Business Resilience Network, a hub of information and resources for the whole business community. Within the CBRN, we formed a collaborative team business approach to COVID-19, partnering with Canada's leading business organizations, including our own chamber network. It was important that we not try to lay claim to whose members the businesses were, but rather to declare that we're all in it together on behalf of all Canadian businesses. So how do we continue to provide the business leadership that Canada so desperately needs? How do we best bring our greatest assets to the table in a constructive way? The obvious answer is that business people know how to develop strategy and how to get things done. Support programs are needed, and we were pleased that the recent budget extended the relief programs put in place over the last year, since many businesses will be slow to recover and supports need to be maintained to avoid a wave of closures just as the pandemic ends. But writing subsidy checks is not enough. To win this race, we need to speed up vaccination programs and ensure that the vast majority of Canadians are immunized as rapidly as possible. Every single day that we delay, more lives are lost and more businesses are closed. When President Biden recently passed his first 100 days in office, the U.S. had far exceeded his declared vaccination targets. We can already see the result. Travel is opening up, including to Europe this summer. Spectator sports and conventions are happening again. And the U.S. tourism sector is gearing up for a busy summer. It's because COVID-19 numbers are dropping. In Saskatchewan, the COVID-19 figures have been lower than in other regions of the country, and the vaccination schedule looks promising. But that doesn't mean that your guard can be let down or that there's any less work to do to get our business communities back on track. Some say that the pandemic will not be over for a year or more. Now there's even frequent mention of the possibility of a fourth wave. I've even heard that what we're in being referred to as the COVID decade. But we cannot afford to stay still for a year, let alone a decade. Business must find a way of moving forward. And that's why I was so impressed when two chamber CEOs from Ontario stepped up to conduct a pilot in their communities with rapid test kits for small business. Rapid testing kits sitting idle in warehouses do no one any good, and we have millions of them. Rapid testing kits in the hands of business people instill confidence in business owners, their employees, and their customers that they continue to work safely and do business safely. I'm very proud that this community pilot was in the hands of two leaders in Canada's chamber network, and their success is leading to the rapid testing initiative being rolled out more widely across our network across Canada. And we've seen enormous interest across the network in helping our members participate. The impediment is a requirement by most provinces and territories that anyone administering the tests must be medically trained. That restriction makes no sense whatsoever. It makes it too costly and cumbersome for most SMEs to participate and would take away medically trained personnel who are needed elsewhere in the healthcare system to administer a test that is so simple that the UK government is sending it out free of charge to British families, asking them to self-administer it. This restriction that's preventing the use of the test kits that can save both lives and businesses can be changed today with a stroke of a pen. As more jurisdictions allow lessening of testing restrictions, thousands more businesses will be able to participate. I've attended virtually some staggering milestone anniversary events this year. The Kingston Chambers just passed the 180 years mark. The Manitoba Chambers of Commerce turns 90 this year. Calgary is in its 130th year. Kamloops celebrates its 125th. Hamilton just passed its 175th last week, and the Canadian Chamber is closing in on 100. Now that's a lot of history and a vast legacy, but it's only that if we don't change with the times. Chambers, when they started in Canada, had a clear-cut community-based mission. In many communities, the Chamber of Commerce or Board of Trade was often the body that rallied the townspeople for immediate needs like bringing the railway to town, or building the hospital, the local bridge, or bridges in Saskatoon's case, and the roadways or City Hall. Throughout the pandemic, chambers have reclaimed their community leadership roles, and I believe the pandemic's legacy will continue to redefine our network's future. The great industrialist Henry Ford said, "Coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success." Over the last year, chambers have been hubs for COVID-19 information for their communities. Our Canadian Business Resilience Network and now our Business-Led Recovery Initiative have provided resources for many businesses beyond our membership and beyond yours. Now, over the last year, chambers have used their community connectedness and their convening powers to bring allies and foot soldiers to the virtual table. The Canadian Chamber did this in its early days of the Business Resilience Network when we brought 6 of Canada's leading business organizations together to work on behalf of business. Membership was not the important factor, as I mentioned earlier. Business survival was, and it remains so. Together, we're pleased to be able to bring tools and actionable plans for recovery to the business community. And beyond that, our Business Recovery Leadership Council continues to forge forward with counsel for the federal government and other stakeholders on a variety of business-led blueprints for return to our new normal. Most recently, the council focused its efforts on a travel restart program. Now, your city, like every other travel destination within Canada, needs travel to return for so many reasons. The livelihood of hoteliers, of restaurateurs, of cultural attractions like the Jazz Festival, and all of their employees, to mention but a few. And then, of course, there's the enjoyment and discretionary spending of local people. The Leadership Council's Travel Restart contained recommendations for the federal government to present a plan that takes key elements into consideration, such as clear metrics for targeted travel restrictions, coherent rules across all modes of transportation, and replacing broad quarantine measures with regulations based on a combination of testing, vaccination, and other actions that can protect public health. Saskatchewan's government is leading the way in setting out a clear blueprint for reopening once COVID is sufficiently controlled. Governments need to develop strategies working alongside the business community, no matter where they are in Canada. It's dangerous when governments assume that they can do it alone or that you can have an economic recovery without it being business-led. Any economic recovery plan will be unsustainable without major economic growth to pay the bills that the pandemic has created for Canadians and for businesses everywhere. Now, to attract the investment that's needed to move from subsidies to recovery, where both individuals and businesses are self-sufficient again, all levels of government require a clear, well-articulated strategy and a solid fiscal anchor. Every community will be changed when we do finally come back. And it's going to take our hardest hit sectors longer to recuperate. They'll continue to require targeted support. Well, much of our time is still consumed by the ongoing pandemic in helping businesses and communities recuperate. We also have to focus on the future. We're rooted in the present, but we need to be future focused. And that's why we'll be launching a number of initiatives over the coming months. For example, we've just launched a new campaign focusing on Canadian agriculture and food security, which I know will resonate here. All Canadians who work hard behind the scenes to feed our nation and the world are proud of the work that they do and are grateful for the trust placed in them. We can be proud that Canadian agriculture is feeding the world and Canadians. And we can also be proud because we're doing so in a way that's sustainable, is friendly to our environment, and is fueling innovation. And some of those leading companies are from Saskatchewan. It's time to strengthen these systems, to renew our leadership, and be proud to stand with Canada's growers, ranchers, suppliers, manufacturers, and more. We're all part of Canada's food link. We look forward to working with you and other chambers on this initiative. Over the coming months, we'll also be future-focused on campaigns to support Canada's hardest-hit sectors, and given the rapid technology adoption during the pandemic, a campaign focused on cybersecurity as well. Now, the only path to sustainable long-term recovery from the devastating economic scarring of COVID-19 passes directly through Canada's job creators and business investors. With our enormous national debt, we cannot afford to be meek or tentative about addressing Canada's lagging competitiveness. We need to get serious about growth. Long-term growth in Canada is closely tied to getting our country's finances back under control as we begin to shift away from subsidies to economic growth. With so much pent-up demand on the horizon, businesses were looking for the recent budget to avoid structural deficits and to fuel private sector growth. Budget initiatives on the longer-term competitiveness issues like inter-provincial trade barriers, productivity, and reducing the regulatory burden in Canada need to be at the very top of that list. Overall, we need to focus on competing in the global economy. Other countries understand that reality. Although the recent U.S. State of the Union speech was described as the furthest left in any modern history, President Biden several times stressed the need for the U.S. to win the global competition. Is there some reason we can't give Canada's competitiveness a similar priority? Now, with all of this said, we can choose as a business community to find fault with how governments are handling the crisis, or we can all get busy being part of the solution that gets us to recovery as fast as possible. Over the course of the last year, our chamber network right across Canada has worked together as one connected network, more connected than ever before. The voices of the small businesses that power our communities have been heard. Over the past 15 months, chambers across Canada have been instrumental in the survival of Main Street Canada, and now our network is called upon to shape the recovery. It's a challenge that's worthy of every one of us, and it's one in which I'm proud to be your partner.
Thank you, Perrin, for your message today and the strong leadership you provided through 2020. As chair, we're going to get down to business now, I guess. I officially am going to call the 114th annual general meeting to order. Today's meeting package, which was all sent out to you, it includes two parts: the audited financial statements of the Saskatoon Chamber and the 2021 Chamber review of our operations and activities. We'll refer to these documents through the meeting, so please have them on hand as we move through the agenda. If I could ask that you now look at the minutes of the 113th annual general meeting to notice if there are any edits or corrections that needed to be made. If none, can I ask for a motion to accept the minutes of the 113th annual general meeting as circulated?
I so move.
Thank you, Monica.
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Cameron. Okay, the poll is up. I will ask if you could just please all vote. Okay, I will keep my chair message relatively brief, as you all do have a copy of the 2021 Chamber review in your package. Looks like this, just in nice color, that was sent to you, that was written to summarize some of our activities and thoughts. I hope as you read it, you will feel the momentum of the Chamber behind you and all the businesses that we serve. Leadership during the past year has proven to be tested at all levels. Most leaders did not sign up to lead during a pandemic, but there are two individuals with us that I would like to recognize that did just that. Our interim CEO, who served through up to October 2020, Sylvia Martini, who is with us, I believe. I don't know if Sylvia, you can wave or unmute and say hi. And our permanent CEO, where is she? Jason Abeg, who joined us in his CEO capacity in October, have shown that with great leadership brings forward an organization that can withstand anything. Sylvia and Jason, on behalf of the Board of Directors and our membership, I sincerely thank you for all that you've done in the past year. Working alongside these two leaders and our Board of Directors this past year, I have to tell you, there was such a passion for the possibilities and the forward-thinking momentum of what we could deliver to add value and assist the businesses as they worked not just to recover, but thrive. As today is my last formal duty as chair, I'm leaving this position with a deeper appreciation for what community means and the role the Chamber plays in holding a community together. My hope is that I am the only chair of the Saskatoon Chamber to have to go a full year with a virtual connection to the business community, but I am still very thankful that there was a connection. As we continue to roll out the vaccine implementation and now both step 1 and step 2 of a reopen plan are in motion, our community definitely has a renewed sense of recovery. I will end just as the co-message from Jason and myself in the Chamber review that was circulated does. Momentum is on your side, and so are we. Thank you all. It has been an honor to serve this past year. Now I'm going to call on Colton Wiegers, our second vice chair and chair of our finance committee, to provide a report on the Chamber's financial position and audited financial statements. So over to you, Colton.
Thank you, Carla. Welcome, everyone. As you can imagine, it's been a bizarre year for any chamber or any nonprofit, especially when you're in the event space. I'm sure it's no surprise that this year's financials look quite a bit different than previous years. Some things worth highlighting though, we do feel we had a very strong year. There was a lot of great pivots and moves made by Jason and the entire chamber team. I remember chatting with him back in October and we just jumped right into it saying, we can't rely on subsidies. We can't be banking on a reopen in 2021, the first few months. So how do we become lean and adaptable as a chamber? And they definitely stepped up to the task to get us on track financially. And some of the highlights Worth noting here is that we have a clean audit opinion from our auditors. There are, of course, from the last year, some extraordinary income and expenses related to subsidies and personnel changes. And some of the highlights the past year that, again, it's been a bit of a transformative year in more than one way. We've introduced for the board and for our reporting a new chart of accounts to simplify managing and monitoring the budget. We've reduced expenses to offset potential decreases in membership and sponsorship revenue. And those were most things that were put in place prior to 2021, just in case, but we've come out quite strong still on the membership front, at least. We reallocated resources to support new advocacy and research initiatives and brand advertising. And we approved the 2021 budget in December, which maintains the current staff complement, projects small surplus by the end of the year, invests in new initiative and personnel as resources permit, and anticipates savings in lease and occupancy costs. And this really sets the stage for us for a strategic plan our strategic plan of 2020 to 2023. Again, a very bizarre year. We've been meeting monthly to discuss, pivot, and make changes. And I just have to give a huge kudos to the entire chamber staff for all they did to help keep this chamber not just in survival mode, but thriving as well. As many of you here have seen, there's been a lot of events and a lot of activity. And I think that's a testament to the hard work from the chamber staff. I think we would open up to questions now, or I could send it back to you, Carla.
If there are any questions, I'll just give a second in the chat. I don't see anything yet, Colton, but I'll just hang on for a second. Okay, if no questions, can I ask for a motion to approve the 2020 audited financial statements? Move it, Todd Denson, thank you. And a seconder?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Tammy. And I'll now call for the vote and the polls are up. Okay, passed. Thank you very much. Before we leave the subject of finances, there are a few motions that we need to make at this AGM with respect to the appointment of our auditor and signing authorities. So I will call for those now. Can I ask for a motion to appoint McClellan de Bussier as the auditor for the 2021 fiscal year?
I move to appoint McClellan de Bussier as auditors for the Greater Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce. This is Juan.
Thank you, Juan. And a seconder?
Kamunashish.
We have a bunch. Okay. I think Deb Kamanishis, Deb was the first person that spoke as our seconder. So I'll ask now for everyone to go and to vote on the poll. And passed. Thank you. Okay, can I ask for a motion to approve any of the two of the chair, first vice chair, second vice chair, and the chief executive officer, signing officers for the Greater Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce?
I'm Heather Ryan. I so move.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Stephanie. And passed. Thank you. Finally, on this year's AGM agenda, we have a set of comprehensive bylaws for adoption by the membership. In 2019, we initiated a full-scale governance review upon receiving notice of deficiency from Corporations Canada that some of the provisions in the Chamber's bylaws were in contravention of the Board of Trade's Act. This act sets out what is required to operate as a chamber in Canada. And like many chambers across Canada, we needed to do a bit of a cleanup and update to our bylaws to bring them in line with the spirit of the Act. We contracted a consultant, Deb McClellan, to conduct this review of our bylaws, and from September 2019 to September 2020, the Governance Committee reviewed her recommendations, reflected on our current practices, and drafted the amended set of bylaws in the meeting package for your consideration and approval this afternoon. Compared to our current set of bylaws, the updated set before you are more clear and easier to follow. Importantly, they reflect the spirit of the Boards of Trade Act, and they are in keeping with modern governance practices, and they do not undermine the Chamber's accountability to members. In fact, we think they enhance the accountability to members because any member should be able to read and understand them. With that, I ask for a motion to approve the amended bylaws as circulated to the membership via email on April 26, 2021.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Graham.
I'll second that
And
motion.
thank you, Sherry. As we're waiting for the final poll to come up, oh, there it is, passed. Thank you. Before I just leave this item, I would like to thank our governance committee and the former and current chairs of Penny Yeager, Sandra Ribeiro, and Adam McInnes for the last 3 years as we worked through the process of updating and rewriting these bylaws. It has taken hours of work, and we appreciate every minute of your time to bring these new and improved bylaws to the membership. So thank you. Next on our agenda is the swearing in of the board's officers for the 2021-2022 year. That's very challenging to say, by the way, 2021-2022. I had to practice that one. Okay. The act requires that we have a commissioner of oaths, a judge, or the mayor preside over these proceedings. And for that reason, we are grateful and honored to have His Worship Mayor Charlie Clark join us today. Sorry about that, Your Worship. Charlie Clark was re-elected mayor of Saskatoon in 2020 for a second term with his mandate to bring a strong economic future where no one is left behind. His goals include continuing to foster innovative partnerships that build solutions to keep people safe, keep people working, and strive to make Saskatoon the most livable mid-sized city in Canada. Mayor Clark, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and presiding over this part of our agenda. And I will now pass it over to you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Carla. And you know, given that beautiful rainfall we just had and some reasons for optimism, it's probably worth trying to be as merry as we can in the times that we are. So I'll take that title as well. And thank you very much for your leadership as the first ever virtual board chair for the Chamber of Commerce. It has been an absolutely unprecedented time for our community. And I've seen how active and busy and essential the Chamber has been in helping to hold the community together. So to you and to Jason and to the whole Chamber team and to the whole board who has served in that role, I do really want to thank you as well. And I'm not going to give a long speech here. I know that this is one of the most efficient AGMs that I've been part of, and I'll do my best to support that. And I see that we've got a pretty efficient way of doing the swearing in this year because we're doing all 4 of the members all at once. So if I could ask incoming Secretary Joe Gill, second Vice Chair Tanis Taylor, first Vice Chair Colton Wiegers, and incoming Chair Graham Snell to please raise your right hand as I read this oath. Now I gotta, all right, I'm seeing most, not, I appreciate you guys pinning your screen. I've only got Graham and Colton. Okay, there's Joe and Tanis. Can she get pinned? It might make it just a little bit easier. Is that? All right, perfect. Okay, thank you very much. So if you will say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the oath, and then I'm going to go one at a time to each of you and ask you to say I do once I've read the oath, okay? So thanks, I know you've been holding your right hands up for a while, so here we go. Do you solemnly swear to uphold the oath of office as Secretary, Second Vice Chair, First Vice Chair, and Chair of the Greater Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce? Joe.
I do.
Tanis.
I do.
Colton.
I do.
And Graham.
I do.
Okay, thank you very much. And next, I'm going to ask another statement. Do you swear that you will faithfully and truly perform your duties as Secretary, Second Vice Chair, First Vice Chair, and Chair of the Greater Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce? and that you will in all matters connected with the discharge of such duty do all things and such things only, as you shall truly and conscientiously believe to be adapted to promote the objects for which the said chamber was constituted, according to the true intent and meaning of the same, so help me God. And I'm not going to ask you all to repeat that. It's the most awkward sentence I say every year, I think, but I will go again and ask if you could say, I do. So Joe?
I do.
Colton?
I do.
Janet?
I do.
And Graham?
I do.
Well, congratulations. As a result of those oaths, I want to congratulate each of you and thank you for taking on your leadership roles in the chamber as we all undertake as a community this important rebuilding process for the city and the community. And you're taking on these leadership roles at a very important time. So congratulations and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary Clark, and congratulations to the executive sworn in today. I look forward to working alongside all of you as past chair in the year ahead. Before we close the annual general meeting, it's customary to take a few minutes to recognize the success and contributions of our members. First up, after an unprecedented year of challenge and change, where our economy and many of our businesses were shaken to the core, we want to recognize you for your grit, creativity, and determination through 2020. Somehow, you managed to keep working, to keep open while attending to the safety of your families, employees, customers, and clients, and that's a testament to your strength and the strength of our business community. You weathered the storm, you made it, and now that's something to celebrate. So to each of you, congratulations and all the best in the year ahead, and know that the chamber and your fellow members are with you every step of the way. Secondly, I would like to recognize our outgoing board members who have contributed so much to the chamber and the business community during their time with us. Chris Seacott and Sandra Rivero, thank you, are both leaving our board after being on for the maximum term that they can serve with the board for the last 6 years. And we're so thankful for the contributions that they've made in that time. CC Baptiste, Katrina German, Juan Godez, and Adam McInnes are also board members whose terms are up and are leaving us. Thank you very much for all that you've done. It's been an honor to work with all of you. Finally, perhaps the most important presentation of them all, it's my pleasure to formally pass the gavel to Graham Snell, the new chair and president of the Greater Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce for 2021-22.
Thank you, Carla, and thanks to everyone. You know, I think it's funny when you read advice from successful people and they talk about the key to success is to surround yourself with great people. I always thought that was a ridiculous statement. What kind of person would not surround themselves with great people? It seems like success 101. I always thought it was hollow until I finally took a moment to evaluate that statement. And I began looking at the successful businesses and people that I know. And the funny thing is that it's true. The great people and hardworking, relentless people that I know are hardwired to do just that. It hit me that yes, you surround yourself with great people so you can learn from them. Making you look good is just a nice side effect. I look around this virtual room and I scroll through our list of members and I see all those qualities and more. I love the city and I love business of all sizes. I love the grit, the fight, and the success stories and how they all got here. The sleepless nights full of worry and wondering if you did the right thing or are you on the right track to only have it turn out to be the best thing. I love seeing the giant cranes and construction in Saskatoon because that means people are moving here to live. This means employment and entrepreneurship, which means places to work, which means income for those folks to spend on dining in our restaurants, attending our cultural and athletic events, and in our shops, which snowball into other businesses who will reap the same success in our city. And if our Mayor Clark is still here, that means they all pay taxes as well. When I was asked to consider running for this board of directors, I wondered both why and how I would be able to contribute in a positive way. Turns out it was the other way around. I'm surrounded by great people that I learn from every time we meet. And trust me, we meet a lot. To the sitting directors, the new directors, the past directors, our complete membership, and the chamber staff, I cannot thank you enough for surrounding me with your greatness. Big shoes to fill, and I promise to do my best. Thank you very much. So we were asked to gather some intel on Carla for this caricature. So naturally, I tried to covertly ask those who know her the closest to match with my impression of Carla. The results were not surprising, and everyone here, I am positive, will agree with these characteristics. Carla is a passionate, driven, diligent, crazy, amazing volunteer who in her spare time, if there is any, runs outrageously long distances. An expert in corporate governance who is volunteering somewhere in some capacity 90% of her time. And from a Myers-Briggs perspective, which I will not reveal her letters, I'm told that she is deeply empathetic, which is out of character for her type, but we are all glad that she is. She loves her family and her dog George, who we hear sometimes chilling in her office. And I think this caricature captures just who she is. Carla, thank you for a wonderful year and all you have done. Please do not block my number when I call too many times for advice.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you very much, everyone. Definitely captured a lot of my loves up there. And I guess it is bittersweet, but I'm so glad that you're going to be on the other side of me now, Graham, sitting at the board table. Graham and I came into this crazy world of board of directorship together. We didn't know each other, met each other at some networking event that we were and both there trying to obtain votes to get on this board, and realized that we could probably do that quicker. Colton was part of this. There was a trio involved. We could do this quicker if the three of us rallied for each other together. And that's exactly what we did. In the true spirit of what we do in our business lives, we started championing each other, and we all got on together, and we were pretty thankful that happened. So Graham, you're an amazing leader, and you're going to do an amazing job leading the board of directors. And I'm so happy that I'm still here for the next year to see that.
All right. Well, it's my privilege to introduce your 2021-2022 Board of Directors. Please unmute and introduce yourself and where you work when I read out your name. Colton Wiegers.
Colton Wiegers, Wiegers Financial and Benefits.
Tanis Taylor.
Hi. As Graham said, my name is Tanis Taylor, and my business is CCA Consulting.
Joseph Gill.
Joe Gill, partner with the McCurcher Law Firm.
Tara McEwen.
Hello, I'm with Connexus Credit Union.
Heather Ryan.
I am Heather Ryan, and I'm with Federated Cooperatives Limited.
Todd Denzen.
Todd Denzen, Vice President of Commercial Potash at Nutrient.
Stephanie Klochuk.
Hi everyone, Steph Klochuk, CEO of Tourism Saskatoon.
Gabe LaFond.
Gabe LaFond, Luther Care Community CEO. Thank you, Graham.
Claire Marintet.
Hi, Claire Marintet. I'm with PCL Construction Management.
Joel Peterson.
Thanks, Graham. Tonse, Joel Peterson, founder of Fitness 2J2 and Security 2J2. Thank you.
And Tammy Sweeney.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tammy Sweeney, CEO at TCU Place.
Thanks, everyone. This is an outstanding group. To those of you who are newly elected to the board, thank you for letting your name stand for this election year. And for those of you returning, thank you for your continued leadership and service to our business community. And with that, my first order of business as chair is to bring this meeting to a close. Can I ask for a motion to adjourn the 114th Annual General Meeting of the Greater Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce?
Can I make it?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Christy Cott, seconded by Sandra. Can I call for the vote, please? Oh, it's up. It looks like it's passed. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Take care. We'll see you soon.